Hello, and thank you for watching the computer science video. I'm Mr. Tibble, the head of computing, and I'll be just going over why you might want to pick computing. I'll be going over the course content that's available with computer science, the typical grades that we might get at GCSE, and just a few examples of some student work. We'll go over a logical scenario just to show how logical thinking can be useful. If you'd like to pause at any point to read the slide yourself, then please do so. I'll go over it quite quickly. So the scenario is that there are 3 crates. One has apples in it, one has oranges, and the other one has a mixture of the 2. However, the labeling machine is broken, has labeled each crate incorrectly. So our job is to figure out what's in each crate, but you can only pick one fruit out of one crate. And from that, you should be able to figure out all 3. So if you want to pause it now, you can do, see if you can figure out yourself. But otherwise, I'm going to go over it. So what you basically do is, for example, you would choose the apples and oranges crate. And if you picked a fruit out of there, and let's say it was an apple, then you would know that the crate marked apples must be oranges, because the crate that you just picked and an apple came out of it means that this is the apples crate. So the apples crate must be the oranges crate, because if it was apples and oranges, then the oranges crate would be labeled correctly, and we know that all 3 are labeled incorrectly. So basically, it's about using the information you're given to logically solve the problem. So this is just a little example of the kind of stuff that might be done in the classroom, just to help reinforce logical thinking, and with enough practice, you can get quite good at these. So basically, computer science kind of gives you the ability to think and act logically, and we practice little problems like this, also problems that need a computer to solve, and we have practical tasks in the lessons that help us practice this type of skill. So what would you learn if you picked computing? The main part, 50%, would be the practical side, which is learning Python coding. It's a programming language. You've probably done it in year 8 and year 9. Not for very many lessons, but you've been introduced to it. And so in computer science, you'll go over it in more detail, learn how it properly works and how to use it quite competently. On the other side, we've got the theory work, and you'll learn how communication technology works. So that's like mobile phones, how data works, how the computer stores information, how computers keep information safe from like hackers. So we've got things on data protection and encryption. So if I go over all the units, so the theory side, we learn like common computing problems, that's the algorithms. Data representation, so how the computer represents things it stores, how does it store things, and that leads into computer hardware, software, what type of hardware is needed for a computer to work, what do they all do, how are they made, computer networks, so your school uses a network, and we go over how that works, and then cybersecurity is quite popular, like common viruses, how they get made, how to prevent them getting on your computer. And finally, what impact technology has on people and the world, and what we can do to help mitigate any disadvantages like e-waste. And then the other half is the practical side, like I said, so you'll learn how to code in Python. And then we usually practice using or making projects. And I've got some examples of some projects that the girls have made later on. So basically you have to plan, design and test a program that you've made. Pretty much a little bit more in depth than you might have done in year 9. So what careers might you be able to get if you take computer science? Well, basically, and you probably heard it, that computers are used in pretty much everything. Common ones that people use the computer science for and some of my A-level students go on to do is healthcare is a big one. They need computer scientists to help develop the latest new technology and help plan and figure out which vaccines are going to work with people. Retail, so you're working in shops, you can analyze the data from the sales you're making. Weather forecasting uses a lot of computer scientists to predict the weather. The arts use it in designing new special effects for movies or making new digital music. Financial services, if you want to go into economics or stock trading, it's quite big in that. They really like people to design their own trading services if they can. You make a lot of money doing that. And a lot of degree courses like you to have like logical thinking and planning abilities. So a lot of like medicine type degrees want you to demonstrate that you have logical thinking. And this could be one of the subjects that could help you demonstrate that skill. So whilst my degree was in games programming, and a lot of the practice projects that we do will be little games that we make, obviously programming can be used in a lot more like real type fashions, like clothing that aids blind people navigating their environment. Cochlear implants is one of the examples. In law, help create databases for recording human rights abuses. So there's lots of things like that that is maybe a bit more real world than games. So what grades do we usually get at Watford Girls? So we've got very high expectations of our students that pick the course. About 50% gain grades 8 or 9 at GCSE, and we've been improving this year on year. And overall, we get about 90% get a very good pass or better. So hopefully, if you pick this, you'll be one of those that get the highest grade. You just need to put the effort in. So what do I think the successful computing student would be? Ability to think logically about a problem, interested in coding, a team player, and you really need a good understanding of maths. And so if I just finish with some examples of students' work, this example of a rock, paper, scissors game that somebody coded, and that's one of the projects that we do. And there's not too much written work in computing. Here's an example of somebody's design document where they clearly lay out what they're going to make and some example data that they would need. So as you can see, the written work isn't too much. If you'd like to practice some other riddles yourself, you can search for riddles on YouTube. Feel free to check those out. Thank you for listening, and if you have any other questions, please contact Mr. Tibble, and my email address is on the screen. Thank you.